Yeah. All right, homies. Welcome to the show. Columbia Crew playoffs are marching on. No one's on bye this week. No one can relax and enjoy football. We've all got to be stressed. We've all got something to fight for. Graham, what's up?
Things are good. My stress level is a lot lower than it was this time last week, thanks to the ass whooping that Craig put on me. So yeah, I get to enjoy a weekend of football, get to enjoy the holidays, fighting for fifth place. It sucks. I'm not gonna be on the trophy, jeopardized next year, but all things are good.
I got to say, I have to admit, being in your position, this going into this week is my least favorite. When you have you get into the top tier bracket and you're fighting in that fifth, sixth slot after you lose that first round, that to me is the worst. Like I'd almost rather be fighting for the top spot in the losers bracket than get stuck in that
Yeah,
nowhere zone. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. There ain't no bragging rights in this bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just praying to God I don't get the new license plate to put on my car. So I've got something, I got something to work for. But that being said, why don't we start real quick, very brief recap. We made some predictions last week. There was two matches last week. You went head to head with Craig and the Bidness went head to head with Hammond, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to say, you were 0-2 in your predictions, and I was 1-1.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely not a great week for gambling for me. And I guess we'll take a look at that first game, kind of get that out of the way. I'll call my first game.
Yeah.
This is a 214 to 174. It was an ass whooping that Craig put on me. Really, I look at this and this was the Craig that we all worried about, right?
Yeah.
This was the Craig that we were like, okay, because he showed why he was, dangerous, like steady. Like no one had great games. I mean, he had, he put Flacco up, and Flacco outscored Mahomes, but he just had 15s and 20s and 20s,
Yeah.
and just had one of those games you get where like everyone does well, and then again I go back to this my number one draft pick in a crucial game of the season puts up negative points in the downpour where you think that he would be actually running the ball. So that was interesting.
Yeah, that had to be frustrating. And I remember what you said as we closed that analysis. You were like, look, I need big games from my three guys, Mahomes, King Henry, and Metcalf. And you were like, if I can get three big games from them, I'm going to win. And Mahomes got you 48. Not horrible, kind of an average performance for him. But Derrick Henry gets you 5 points, and Metcalf gets you 12. So, you kind of needed, you knew you needed them to score big. And then why Bijan Robinson is getting 7 carries in a game against Carolina and losing to Carolina. We've got the other running back, two other running backs on that team for Atlanta. Algiers getting 14 carries, Bijan's getting 7, and then even Cordero Patterson's running all over the place, scoring touchdowns. It's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, yeah, no, it was yeah, and this is why Arthur Smith is not going to have a job in Atlanta next year. Like you don't spend like the draft capital they've put into Drake London, to Bijan Robinson, to Kyle Pitts, and even
Yeah,
even their
Grant,
quarterback was a
Kyle Pitts and Bijan were heralded as generational talents coming out of college.
yeah, yeah. So either the scouts were wrong or the coaching is wrong,
Right.
and I'm guessing it's the coaching.
Yeah.
I just think they're gonna make a change. But anyway, um,
Well,
look,
Craig moves on,
Craig moves
and he
on.
gets the unfortunate challenge of going up against Miller, which we'll cover in a second.
Yep.
And then the other game, Lenny and Hammond, and I was convinced, and I think a lot of people would have agreed with me, all of our followers, that Lenny's team, which was much stronger than Hammond's. But no one, I don't think, could have predicted the Dallas meltdown. And it's just an example of you put a lot of your chips into one team. And we'll talk about that with Miller's team coming up here. I have some thoughts on that. But Miller and San Fran guys. But
Yeah.
Dallas puts a lot of, Lenny puts a lot of chips in Dallas, and they lay an egg,
Yeah.
and it
No,
sinks him.
it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for that. So Dallas to go like that, I mean, that was crazy. From a real life standpoint, and then to a fantasy standpoint, this is kind of the thing. If you rest all of your eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
and something doesn't happen, you're kind of in a hole there.
Yeah, and it was kind of just a gift to Hammond because Hammond ends up winning 194 to 183. Neither one of them broke 200. Neither one of them had a great game, but Lenny just kind of gift wrapped that, and Hammond moves on, and Hammond gets a little bit of extra time to try to heal up some players, but it doesn't look good for him this week either. He's got some injuries. We'll talk about
Yeah,
him, but
no, for sure.
he's been really unfortunate, man. So he's got the battle against Matrowski, and we'll talk about that. So yeah, it was good. I mean, you predicted some scores, some high scoring games. I did too, and they were a little bit lower than we thought they'd be. So it's been a weird season, man.
Yeah. No, it's really it's just funny how we think we know everything about these games and everything else, and to wind up with Joe Flacco with more points than Mahomes, and
Right.
even the first touchdown Kansas City scored, I was like, come on, I think it was a Rashee Rice or a McKinnon. And in fact,
Right.
McKinnon had a game, and I picked up McKinnon earlier that week, but dropped him. I was like, oh, he's this is when Kansas City wants to win games. They always go back to guys they rely on.
Yeah.
McKinnon has 2 touchdowns. Of course, he was on the waiver wire, so that was fun. But yeah, I mean, I think HamNCheeze, like just his team. It's just like he's like Rocky out there. I mean, he's like down in the count. He's got bloody, broken nose. Everything's going wrong, but like still finds a way to win a game. So, hey, that's the championship trophy right there. Coming back and say, hey, I'm not done yet. I'm not done
Yeah,
yet.
and listen, I I'm probably not going to pick him this week, but I'm going to be a little bit more careful with my verbiage as I predict the final outcome because he keeps moving on, so let's not sleep on him too much. But do you want to talk a little bit about the first big battle, the Creaton versus High Life battle? I mean, this is a big
Yeah,
one.
I think that's a good one to start with. That's the where's it at here? Okay, yeah. So that's the one that I think is going to be interesting. I mean, Creaton, High Life. I mean, to me, High Life is a juggernaut. I mean, Miller's made some good trades. Really just came alive and didn't want to go to that pink plate and wanted to win something. So, I mean, to me, there's a juggernaut going on there. For Creaton, this is a game where again he was a juggernaut for such a long time. I feel like there's some potential there for him to really do well.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts has had 2 bad games. It's a great chance for Jalen to have a
Yep.
better game. And then look, San Francisco is playing a really tough Baltimore defense. So that's Debo, that's McCaffrey. We'll see what happens there. Which Josh Allen shows up for High Life. There's Njoku, and that's a guy kind of start here. Does Njoku have one of those games where he's had last week where Flacco finds him? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's I think this is kind of the premier matchup of our fantasy league this weekend. And some of I've been riding the Creaton train all year, and I think that they're going to give Miller, and the High Life team a real challenge. And I tried to reach into some stats and some research to kind of prepare for our show this week. And what I like about Creaton's team is he's got, first of all, Njoku at tight end. Okay. Now, beginning of the season or even last year, you'd say, so what? You know what I mean? Middle of the tier kind of tight end. But Njoku's been playing really well, and they're going up against a Houston defense, which has allowed the second most receptions to tight ends this year. 91 receptions to tight ends with this Houston defense. I think Njoku's primed to have a really big game. He's had a lot of big games lately, and I give Craig the advantage there, even over Kelsey, who's been going against Vegas. Should be fine, but something's going on with Kelsey this year. Something's going on with Kansas City. Something's going on with their offense. I don't know if Kelsey's got his mind on other things. The Poonan, I don't know what it is, but he's not the same Kelsey this year. And I think Njoku outscores him there. And quite frankly, I like White for Tampa Bay running against the Jacksonville defense a lot better than I like Miller has ETN going up against Tampa Bay's defense. Now, Tampa Bay's defense, you can throw on them all day, but they've been like the fifth stoutest run defense in the league this year.
Yeah,
And
with Levante David
ET,
back, yeah.
yeah, I kind of like, I like the running back battle. I think Craig can hold up there. And just to say one more thing about Craig's team, Hurts ain't got the squirts this week, baby. He's healthy. He's not sick. He's going to be pissed. They've lost two tough ones in a row. And they have consistently beat up on the Giants the past couple seasons. The Giants have been their rag doll. And this would normally be the kind of game where I'd say they're going to be up ahead, so far ahead at halftime that they could sit Hurts. But because of the way they played the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to keep them all out there and get them right and let them enjoy the pounding and just get those vibes back, man. I think they're going to have Philly in all of their offense in all game. Now, that helps Miller because he's got A.J. Brown, but I just think Hurts is going to stay in all games. He's going to have a lot of points. And Allen on the other side for Miller, Josh Allen for Buffalo against the Chargers. Now, that's a guy that could be sitting at halftime because they're going to be up 30-0 at half against the Chargers, and Buffalo doesn't need Allen to be out there all game.
Yeah,
they had
and a new coach for the Chargers.
Yep.
Right. So we talked about that over text after that game. Definitely getting fired. Two people got fired. But yeah, this is a game for sure. I feel like that this game is 30-0 at halftime, and you just have a running back just picking up all those points. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, if you definitely, this is where Lenny has I think Lenny has the Buffalo running back that just came alive. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, this is the game where, like, look, I mean, you've got Debo, you got Brown, you got Olave, Etienne, McCaffrey, DeKelty, a lot of big names on Miller's side, and he doesn't need a lot to win this game. He just needs Debo to have a typical Debo game. 8 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. Look at McCaffrey's going to have 100 yards, 5 or 6 or 7 catches. Allen can have three touchdowns. An average game is from highlight to really take this off. But like we've seen Craig have a great year. He's not 9-5 for a reason. They're both 9-5, but I feel like he's there, and I feel like this is gonna be one where the fisherman's gonna pull it out. He's gonna be fighting that tuna, and he's gonna pull that baby out at the end. So
this is a great week to catch Miller, though, because if you think about it, if I'm right and Allen sits at halftime or in the third quarter because they're so far ahead, and his players on San Fran, as great as they are, if any week they're going to struggle, if there's any week they're not going to blow up and score all those points, it's going to be this week on Christmas Day in the evening versus the Baltimore Ravens, the #1 defense in the league. Maybe they slow them down. Maybe Samuel doesn't go off for 200 yards and McCaffrey doesn't go off. Maybe they shut one of them down. So, I mean, he's catching Miller at the right time in terms of this battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's go with some predictions. Who you putting in? What's the score?
Yeah. So I'm going to give Creaton. I think Mike Evans, by the way, is going to have a huge game against the Jacksonville secondary. I think Devontae Adams is going to struggle against a tough Kansas City defense. Kansas City's defense has not been the problem all year. It's been their offense. But that being said, I think Creaton's going to pull this out. I'm going to go with the upset. I've been riding the Creaton train all year. I'm going to have Creaton at 221, and I'm going to have High Life at 214.
Ooh, close. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, but I think Creaton's going to pull it out.
All right. Well, I think it's going to be high scoring like you have it. As much as I think Craig has a lot of weapons, I just have to go with High Life. I'm going High Life at 225.
Okay.
And I'm going with Creaton at 220. I have this as a 5-point, stay up all night stat tracker.
Yeah.
Type game. So that's what I have there. So you're picking Craig. I'm picking Miller. All right.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, if it wasn't for the matchups and some of the concerns, like Olave's just coming back this week for High Life. We don't know what he's going to do. On paper, it looks like High Life has the team to win. But I just think this week would be the week where if he falters, it may happen.
All right. So now we go to the second semifinal. This is the Cleveland Steamers versus HamNCheeze.
Yeah.
What I am calling the fraudulent semifinals. This is two teams that are total frauds at this point in the season, in my
Wow.
opinion. So
Wow.
I'm calling them out now. And this is because it's not anything that's there. It's just circumstantial, right? Tyreek Hill injured, Devontae Smith injured, Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, a lot of stuff like that. Not teams aren't great. Stephon Diggs, as great as we thought he was, been a terrible first round draft pick. Tony Pollard, we all thought Pollard would have this great
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
He's had a couple games and nothing you go like, wow, that's first round.
Right.
So this is my fraudulence
Okay.
there.
I can see why you feel like that about Hammond's team with all the injuries he has right now and the gift he was given last week. I think Ski is not going to like your assessment of his team with Lamar Jackson, the quarterback of your Baltimore Ravens, with Amon-Ra, the sun god at receiver, with Tyreek Hill at receiver, with Stephon Diggs at receiver, with Joe Mixon doing his thing in Cincy, with Pacheco coming back this week. I think Ski would say, hey, watch what I do this week. Watch me gear up for the finals, baby. Do not sleep on me. I made all these trades. You know how conservative Ski is. He doesn't usually make trades and move around to gear up for the playoffs. He's all in this year. He's going for it. And I think, to be quite honest, this is going to be the second largest gap, I think, in points of the week. The first one, it will be involving a team called Holden Hiscock. But this one, I think Ski should win this pretty easily. I think that let me get into a little bit, just a couple things on my research stats. I don't like HamNCheeze's quarterback this week. Carolina, and this shocked me, allows the fewest fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. And it's not because their defense is that great. It's because you don't really need to throw on them, right? Most people just pound the rock and just get rid of them in the whole second half. So that's probably part of it. But if that's true, and they have the lowest points for opposing quarterbacks, then Love's not going to score much. He might score what Yahoo's predicting, about 34 points. And if that happens, and Lamar's going to be in a battle against San Francisco. He's going to be running all over the place, scrambling, do it. I think Lamar's going to have his like a good week because it's going to be so tight. He's going to be battling, and this is Lamar's chance to say, hey, maybe I should be considered for NFL MVP. I know everyone loves Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's at the top of it, but Lamar's going to roll in there like, hey, I've been here for 5 years, man. I've been doing it. Who's this Brock Purdy guy, Mr. Irrelevant? Watch me. I think so. The quarterbacks are going to be so imbalanced. I think Ski's going to have the advantage, and Tyreek's back. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, like Tyreek Hill on a broken leg is probably faster than 95% of the NFL. He's just amazing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, looking at HamNCheeze, I'm going to call out a starting lineup for you. Quarterback Joe Burrow, Keenan Allen, receiver, Jamar Chase, receiver, running back Gus Edwards, tight end Dallas Goedert. All those guys are on Hambone's bench. Four of them are injured, right? So he's had some really tough luck there.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, as much as I joke with the fraudulent, Ski's made, I said, he has made some moves.
Yep.
Lamar, he's always underprojected. I feel like Lamar always has these projections where he's just under. And he's a guy that can go 30 for you, but he can go 60 easily, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think when the more the game matters, I think the more you see Lamar do stuff. And I think this
I agree.
matters, right? So
I agree.
I mean, look at Jacksonville. If you watch the game, Jacksonville gave away that game in the first quarter, and Lamar did enough to win the game. A lot of running, everything else. But games where he had to really win, I feel like that's where you see the best of Lamar, where he's like, okay, let's go. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then look, Tyreek Hill still wants to get this receiving record. He's playing against a Dallas team that we know just gives up points, and they have a cornerback that leads the league in interceptions, but also leads the league in
big plays.
Right? So I think it's where Tyreek Hill takes off. And we'll see it with Pollard against Miami. Does Dallas go the running route and try to take up the clock, and maybe Pollard gets more time on the ball? We'll see. I do like Pacheco at Kansas City. I feel like he's my sleeper player for Cleveland. He's a guy that I just feel like Kansas City, when it gets closer to the end of the season, we have to rely on players. They go to guys they know.
Yep.
You know, I think you'll see Kadarius Toney do nothing and Pacheco do something.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I think Ski's in a better position here. I think, you know, if Hammond has any chance, Justin Jefferson is, you know, he's getting better each week since he's come back. He had a pretty good week. He's going to have to just absolutely go off against a bottom-ranked Detroit defense against wide receivers. He's going to have to score, you know, just a 45-point type of game for Hammond to stay in this. And, you know, I looked at him starting Deontay Johnson. Don't love that guy, although I will say that Trubisky seems to be looking at him a lot. He's had a good couple of weeks of Trubisky there. But Hammond can't get rid of the injury bug, man. Devonta Smith, he might not. It looks like he might be out this week.
Yeah.
He's got a knee issue. He didn't practice today. He was a no-show for practice. Like, what's going on there? And Kamara's very steady. And McBride's surprising at tight end. He might put up more points than Kincaid or whoever Ski's starting at tight end, but it's just not enough, man. It's not enough. I think Hammond's ride probably ends here. I'm not going to go. I'm going to choose my verbiage. I'm not going to say he's going to get blown out. I'm going to be shocked if he wins. I'm not going to use that language because, you know, he's proven that he's a survivor. But come on, I mean, Ski just has too much firepower in this matchup. Ski's moving on.
Yeah. What do you got as a score there?
Yeah, I really cannot wait. I'm really actually excited for the Baltimore San Fran game. I think Lamar in prime time on Christmas Day is going to do really well. So I'm going to give Ski. I think it's going to be like a pretty high scoring. I'm going to give him 235, and I'm going to give Hammond about 203.
All right. Well, I got this a little closer, a little lower. I've got this at 190 to 174.
Wow.
With Cleveland moving on. I really have this as a game where HamNCheeze just can't score enough, keep up with Cleveland. I feel like we're going to see some decent games across the board, but I don't like Joe Mixon. I don't like Pollard. I don't think they're going to have great games, but I feel like Tyreek, the Sun God, Lamar do enough to get him over the line. And I feel like HamNCheeze just winds up running out of gas. This is where the HamNCheeze train leaves, and he's fighting then for the name on the plate after that. So yeah. All right. So
I think
semis. That gives us. You know, we both agree on Cleveland.
Yep.
We disagree on the Creaton High Life. So we'll see how it goes.
Should we now look at the losers bracket, aka the PP platter?
Yeah, that's right. Well, just quickly, the 5th, 6th place game, it really does not matter worth anything.
Right.
I will say this is me and Lenny fighting over for what we would thought was going to be a semifinals meetup, but just my 2 cents here. I feel like this game is going to be the game where we both score lots of points and go like, damn it, why wasn't that last week?
Exactly.
That's my feeling. This will be one of those games where Mahomes against Vegas, you know, Judy, Bijan, they go, oh, you know what? Wow, Bijan really is good. Maybe we should give him the ball more. And one of those games where Prescott and Dallas come alive, and then we both have these amazing games at 5th and 6th place where it doesn't matter worth anything. So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think it could be close. I give the edge a little bit to Lenny because the Dallas situation. Like, we expected a shootout last week with Dallas. They let us down. I expect another shootout with Dallas versus Miami. Miami's defense has gotten better over the past month, but this should be a high-scoring game. And if it is, and Prescott and Lamb go off, then I give them a little bit of the edge. And Garrett Wilson, a horrible quarterback situation there, but they're playing Washington, and I know Washington really well. And anytime you play Washington, you're going to have a career day. So, you know, I do think with the Buffalo theme that I'm on, that Cook could be run in the 1st and 2nd quarter and then be sat for the 2nd half, so that could hurt him a little bit. Kittle is, you know, you either score a lot or he's just blocking the whole game. And Miami's actually got a good defense against tight ends, so I don't think that he should have Ferguson starting in the slot. That's just my opinion. Actually, the more I look at it, Graham, the more I think it's going to be closer than I think. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Mahomes is going to score well. The one thing that I noticed, get into my little stat and research page again. I see you starting Likely at tight end. Okay, this is what I think about that. All right, San Francisco has faced the 7th most targets to tight ends this season, but has only allowed the 11th fewest fantasy points to tight ends. So they've been thrown at a lot at that position, and they haven't allowed a ton of fantasy points there. Now, on the other hand, you have a tight end on your bench. Tampa Bay has allowed the 5th most points to tight ends. You've got a tight end on your bench that's playing Tampa Bay. And I'm just thinking out loud, I might want to swap them. And so my prediction is going to be that if you leave Evan Ingram on your bench, he's going to score about twice as many points as Likely does. That's my prediction. Now, I could be wrong, but we'll revisit this next week.
And you may be right, but with this game, I want to lose with Baltimore players.
Okay, all right.
Right?
All right. So,
Ingram
you got to go that way.
Ingram might wind up as the flex, but I want my Baltimore players in my final game of the season. So
yeah, it's going to be hard to sit Henry because Seattle's rushing defense has been putrid all year. And if King Henry doesn't go off this week for you, I would never draft him again.
Yeah,
it might be over for him,
or trade for him mid-season. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to the pink plate. The pink plate foursome here.
Okay, wait. We got to pick the scores, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Graham, I went against you last week. At first, I was leaning towards Lenny, and as I reviewed it, I thought to myself, I think I like Graham better. It's going to be close, though. It should be close. These are always hard to predict. But I'll go Graham 220, the Bidness 212.
All right. Well, I have this high scoring. I have it against me. I got the Bidness 245, and I got 230. I got a high scoring game.
Okay.
Bidness goes off. Dak is like, hey, that was an anomaly. That's my prediction. So
yeah, I can see Dallas blowing up this week.
All right, so let's go to the pink plate showdown. We've got. I'm going to do a little screen share here. So we're going to look at this. These are real games here.
This is the point in the broadcast where everyone just kind of tunes out. But hopefully, we've got 3 people watching.
That's right. Yeah. So, well, if you're watching, this is the time you want to tune in and look at this matchup here. Mr. Magic and Scorp Speed. Stafford's already playing for Scorp Speed. Look at this. We got no points on the board yet, but we got it there. So yeah, I mean, look at these two teams. I mean, look, Yahoo has this pretty close. 169, 171. I mean, I think that you picked up a sleeper here. This guy Chandler in Minnesota, who is going to be, my guess is going to be on the keeper list for next year.
He ran great last week, dude. He ran great.
He's a sleeper keeper right there for you.
Yeah.
So that's a good pickup right there. I think you're doing the right things. You got draft picks next year. You've got keepers. Some good things happening right there. And then look at it. You got Zay Flowers too for Baltimore. You got some keepers here. You're gonna go in next year looking pretty good. And his Scorp Speed really interesting. Eric was dangerous for a lot of the year, but he just lost. I think he just lost some games where I feel like, got them to 7-7. One game he's in the playoffs. One game here he's in the playoffs. But I mean, he's just got a weird team. Stafford's had an interesting season. DJ Moore, not the greatest wide receiver. T. Higgins, like the number 2 option, third option in Cincinnati. Reed, Hubbard, just not a lot of good options here across the board. I don't like his team a lot. And looking at your team, I feel like you've got some upside. Waddle, Goff. Of course, Eckler is challenging for you because he could have done more as a first-round pick. But I mean, the reason the points are so low is because both your teams need help.
Yeah. The thing I'll say about Eric that makes me nervous is that I was thinking about starting Justin Fields, but I didn't want him to siphon away points from me with DJ Moore because that just gets on my nerves. DJ Moore is that kind of player where he can go off, or there's not a whole lot happening. It's hard to tell with him, although they're playing Arizona, so he might have a good day. I like the start with T. Higgins because HamNCheeze is out this week, so he's going to be kind of since he's number one. So he had the touchdown of the year last year. I don't know if you saw it, where he caught it and then he swung his arm around over the pylon to score. That was pretty awesome. I think that his running backs are garbage, and I think his a tight end and a tight end in flex. Kansas City is really tough against opposing tight ends. So, I'm not scared of his running backs. I'm not scared of his tight ends. So I give myself the advantage. I like Goff. I thought a lot about which quarterback I wanted to start, because I could start Justin Fields, I could start or Baker Mayfield or Goff. But I did some research on Goff, and everyone says that Goff plays great at home and not so good away. But that's not really true. Goff plays great away if it's warm and he's in a dome. And so he's playing in Minnesota. And when he's on turf in a dome, he completes 70% of his passes. And this year it was 21 touchdowns to six interceptions. So it's a nice quarterback rating. When he's out on the grass and in the cold weather, Goff has a 57% completion percentage, 4.6 yards average a pass, and 1 touchdown versus 2 interceptions this year. He's horrible in the grass. You never start him if he's playing on grass and in the cold. But if he's in a dome and he's on the turf, I expect him to do well. So I put him in there. I thought about Baker because I think Baker's going to go off against Jacksonville. But I think I'm going to win the quarterback battle. I like Waddle. I like Cooks is going to do great for Dallas this week against Miami. They're going to be throwing deep. Tyler Boyd's normally a number 3 for Cincy, but he's really a number 2 this week because HamNCheeze is out. James Conner, everyone always sleeps on, but he's had a great year when he's healthy. I got Ty Chandler coming in. We're going to blow up. We're going to take this. I'm going to win the losers bracket. No one can stop me. And it's going to be $100 in my bank account. And I'm going to feel vindicated, baby.
There you go. All right. Well, I got you in the same position here. I think that you've got all the talent here to win this, win the low rent battle here. And so I have you winning this by 8 points. I have this 190 to 182. That's my pick.
Okay.
What do you got?
Yeah, I agree with the 182 part. I'm with you. I'll match that for EG. But I'm going to give myself 217, baby.
All right. All right.
We're on fire. Nothing can stop us. Now that the season's over, we're on fire. Right. This is it.
It's like the Redskins, when the Redskins always win the last 3 games and everyone's like, oh, man, I need to buy season tickets now. Buy them season tickets. Buy them now before they get more expensive.
How dare you talk about my team that way, Graham? But it's true.
All right, so let's go to the birthday boy Buck Nasty versus Dr. Holden Hiscock.
Yeah.
This is a 1990s high school. We can say these things. It's just a name, right? So
just a name.
It's a name. So we already got some scores on the board. We got Kyron Williams with 11 rushing yards. Cooper Kupp with nothing on Buck Nasty. Buck Nasty has 4 Qs. Max Crosby, Noah Brown, Mostert, A-Chain. I tell you, for a guy who starts 2 running backs for the same team, that's a tough reach there. And really, Holden Hiscock has had, 2 empty slots right here. I mean, when you go through 90 moves on a 70-move league, you've done some things. And, and I kind of want to, if I had more time, I actually want to do research on all the moves of players where Dan drafted them, did not start them, and then cut them. Right? I mean,
and then pick them back up and drop them again,
Yeah. It's just funny when you think about how many players where Dan picked them up and like it's like a practice squad. Just like, hey, this come on in and then leave. Don't do anything. But yeah, this is a shit show here. I mean, we've got this is a win for Dave Sargent just because Holden Hiscock's missing some points. The team isn't great.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson is going against New England defense, and Russell got yelled at pretty good last week from Peyton. So,
Yeah, from Sean Payton. And
Yeah,
they got to go across the country. They're playing in New England. New England's defense isn't bad. It's going to be cold and snowy up there.
yeah,
I don't think Sutton's going to like that. I think McLaurin's not going to do jack against the New York Jets defense.
yeah.
Kyron Williams is his best player. Swift has been really disappointing the last month. Maybe he'll do something against the Giants, and you know how Pitts is at tight end. On the other hand, I like Sarge's team, man. He was close to making the playoffs. Cooper Kupp's having a resurgence right now. He just caught a pass as I was talking. First catch for 12 yards. He's got Tua. He's got Jordan Addison, who actually outperformed Justin Jefferson last week and had 2 touchdowns. He's got Noah Brown, who's filling in. He's a deep burner. Houston's got some receiver injuries, so Noah Brown's going to get a lot of looks. And if you are going to start 2 running backs, these are the 2 that you would start on the same team.
Sure.
Mostert and his name's actually H-Chan. I hate to break it to you, but let's just keep calling him
A-Chain sounds so much better. A-Chain sounds better.
And damn it, Sarge, I am so jealous that he picked up Laporta, because that's just such a great tight end keeper for the next 3 years for absolutely a low round pick. It's what a great position to be in. I love it, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, Laporta is who we thought Pitts was going to be.
Yes.
You know, when you look at Laporta's season and you pull up his like 11, 24, 19, 11, 19, 17, 32, 28. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
he's that guy, dude, for sure.
And
he looks good. He passes the eyeball test when you watch him. You know, like I'm not an expert at studying film, but when this guy pops off the screen, he's huge, and he's got wiggle. He's juking people. He's throwing people off of him. He's diving through 3 tacklers to get in the end zone. He's great, man. Yeah. And the other thing about it is, like, how did the scouts miss that? Because everyone's like, it's not a great tight end year. Tight ends take forever to develop. And I mean, this guy, it should have been like a top 15 pick, but everyone's like, Dalton Kincaid's the guy. Laporta, I think, went in the 2nd round. It just shows you, man, you don't know who's gonna blow up. Sure. You know?
Yep. Absolutely. And I feel like this, looking at Sarge's team, he's got some keepers to choose from. Addison from Minnesota, Noah Brown, A-Chain, I'll say it that way, Laporta.
Yeah.
He has, and on his bench, he's got Smith and Jigba. I mean, he's got Tank Dell. I mean, Sarge is going to have some decisions to make come keeper time. And then Holden Hiscock, I mean, I think this is when I look at his team, I feel like Williams is definitely going to be there. And I feel like this Shaheed could be a guy that he keeps. I think that's a late pick. I don't know if he got him. He was not drafted. So I think Shaheed and Williams give Holden Hiscock a lot of options for next year. So,
and the nice thing about Dan is he actually did give himself a little bit of a better position in the draft next year. I think he's got some extra picks, so he did do his best to kind of fix that. So he'll have a good draft next year, and things will turn around. They always do. But right now, this week, I don't see a way for him to win this. So
So what do you got? I know you got Sarge, but
so I'll be playing Sarge next week for the winner of the losers bracket. I'm looking forward to that. But this week, I think Teddy's going to score about, I don't know. Let's give him I'll give him a high score. Let's give him 228, and I'll give Roach about 183.
All right, and
maybe lower.
I have Buck Nasty at 205, and I've got Holden Hiscock with 155. A low score to wrap up his season. And then I tell you what, better talk to the wife about getting that plate ready. That plate is going to the Eastern Shore, and maybe the trophy too. We'll see.
I feel good about this, man, because I really didn't want to come in last place this year. And like, even if things don't go well for me in the playoffs, I feel like if I am faced with Roach and battling for that plate, I should win, man. I should win.
Yeah, win. That's right.
Yeah, when you have those rough seasons where you can't buy a win, you almost forget what it felt like to have those easy weeks where, like, sometimes you have a great season where it's just week after week. It's just you're rolling through people. You feel like a genius, but you're really not, because it really is mostly luck. Yeah. But when you have a season like I had, you're almost like, will I ever win again? Am I horrible at this? Will I ever be good again? Like you know what I mean? It's just
Oh
it's
yeah.
amazing. Gets
Yep.
in your psyche, you know?
See, this is why we need Keith Sargent back in the league. Just when you play a guy who's got 4 empty bench slots, starting a quarterback that's got a big D by his name.
And Sarge texts you, he's like, should we let Keith know that there's football this weekend? And nah, it'll be all right.
That's right. But thankfully, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that the pink plate exists because it was like a way to make sure you pay
Yeah,
attention, right?
pay attention.
Yeah.
All right, good man. Anything else you want to cover before we go watch some football?
I just want to say it's been a great season, and I think at some point we'll after the last game we'll do a final end of the season recap. I think we can talk about the next thing will be like what are maybe the top 10 fantasy season murderers that we had out there, right? And I'm talking guys that you drafted in the first, second,
Oh,
third round. This is the
yeah.
guy I'm going to really rely on, and who's like the top 10 murderers out there. We should talk about
I
that real
like
quick.
that. I
You know?
like that. Let's do a top 10 murderer list. 5 of them will be on my team, but we
That's
can
right.
spread it around a little bit.
That's right. Yeah. So I think it'd be fun. Like, what guy really just screwed your entire season? Be fun to talk about that. So,
Yeah.
all right. So one last bit because we want to get back together some next Wednesday.
Okay.
Ravens Niners. What you got? What's you got?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be tough to fly out west. Uh, I don't think there's any reason why the Niners shouldn't prevail, although I'm really hopeful it's a close battle and the Ravens can show why they're considered the number one team in the AFC. And so, I mean, I can see it being like a 28-24 game kind of thing. Lamar is great, but most of his great plays come off schedule. And I'd like to see him just kind of work the offense a little bit better. Like he makes me nervous every time he's running around and he does amazing things, but it's never in rhythm, you know? And I feel like this 49ers team has been in rhythm all year. Their rhythm is amazing. And quite frankly, I think he should get coach of the year because he's just an amazing coach, man. And his team has looked amazing all year. I expect the 49ers to win. Of course, I'll be rooting for Baltimore all day long. Um, but I'll give it to the 49ers. Probably close. Hopefully it'll be close. 28-24, something like that.
All right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is the kind of a game where the Niners score touchdowns and the Ravens score field goals. And so
Yeah.
it goes 7-3. It goes 14-6. It goes 21-9. It goes
Yeah.
28-16. I think that's kind of what we're looking at, where the Niners always score, put those touchdowns on the board, and the Ravens are kicking field goals.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be a one-score game like you have it, but I feel like the one-score game is going to be, probably in like that 18 for the Ravens, and probably in that like 27, where
Yeah.
like within 8 points. So maybe that's like what 27-25, something like that. So maybe a 19-27 game. That's what I'm thinking. Where the Ravens have like a chance of like maybe get a touchdown and get a 2 point, and they stall out in their last drive. So I
Yeah.
got 27-19. San Francisco. So we both have the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
obviously,
think we see it kind of the same way, you know. I'll love it if the Ravens pull it off. This town's going to go nuts if they do, but we'll see. I think the 49ers are just a little bit better in all phases, and they have a great defense too. It'll be a good bet. It'll be a fun game to watch.
and is there anything better in sports than the coast to coast plane ride when you just won? I mean, that's got to be just the best 6 hours where just you're on your private jet, your team, your mates, your coaching
Yeah.
staff, and you just stepped up. I mean, that to me has got to be there needs to be a HBO behind the scenes 6 hour flight. I would love to see what happens there and just the craziness of all the celebration and high fives and everything
Yeah.
else.
The closest I can come to even like imagining what that would feel like is some mild JV experiences for Oakland Mills where we're on the bus ride home after a win over Hammond or something, and everyone's playing like the the classic, 1990 rap, mixes on the way back and everyone's hooting and hollering. It is a great feeling. That's the closest I'm going to get to really understanding what it feels like, but it's probably pretty awesome.
That's right. That's right. All right. On that note.
Yeah. Hey, good luck, everybody. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
See you, Graham.